What? What is that? See that? It was almost professional. Russ, how are you, my brother?
What's up, Big Daddy?
Hey, man, it's good to see you. You know what? We
Good
had
to
so
see
many
you too.
people. Yeah, we had so many people that wrote in after the first show that they wanted to have you back on to do some Q&A and some stuff. Listen, people, if you've got a question, just put question really large in front of it so that I can put it up there and we can get him to answer it. He is an authority on all things California prison, and we've got some stuff to talk about because, as it turns out, Danny Masterson has been moved. You probably saw that in the press. I believe it's called Sawa. Am I saying that right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's a Sakwa or Sawa. It's but it is an
Wasco.
intake. A Wasco. There you go. Thank you. See, I wasn't even close, but that's why I've got a Cali expert here. A Wasco. If you could tell everybody a little bit about what a Wasco is, where did they just move him? What's going on with it?
Wasco, first off, let me clear up that nobody knows where he's going to go first. I mean, it doesn't matter if you get a tip from a deputy, unless it's the warden or somebody driving him, you're not going to know. That's a safety issue. They will not let anyone know. But if he went to Wasco, Wasco is a 3-level prison. Reception. It's got a level 2, it's got a level 1, and a level 3. So that's where he's going to get his diagnosis done. That's it. And then he'll go from there. Since he's around so many other prisons, they might just ship him across the valley to a higher level. And folks, he is going to be a higher level. He might be sensitive needs, but it's still going to be a higher level prison yard.
Based on the crime, yeah.
Yeah.
Based on the crime.
You brought it up earlier on Aaron's channel that, the act itself was violence. So he's not going to get a level 2 yard. He's going to be locked down.
Not much chance of that. So the process of this intake, I think this confuses a lot of people because right after he got convicted, we feel like he went through a pre-sentence investigation anyway, right? So
PSI,
what's the difference between that and what he's going to be going? Alan Valentine, good to see you. What is the difference between that and the kind of intake that they're going to be doing at this Wasco joint?
This is just going to be establishing his education, where he stopped in school, what his crimes were, if he's on psych meds, if he's seen the doctor, all of that. His medical condition. Does he have any enemies? Is he in fear for his life? All that. And that's going to be processed. And that's where they're going to get that PSI from the court. And everything that's in that, they're going to ask him about. The psych doctor is going to see him. So for every cult member out there, sorry, he's either going to see him or he's going to be locked down. Simple as that.
And he's going to get stuck there. Like I've watched people play that game before an intake where they say, yeah, I'm not doing this, or I'm not participating. They don't say, oh, okay, we'll do this with you not participating. They just say, in 2 weeks, we're trying again. You don't like that? In 2 weeks, we're trying again. And you can spend. Do they have a cadre unit there? Do you know? Do these places maintain cadre units for workers to do the laundry and to take care of all of that?
That's why you have the level 1 yard that's in that same prison, because you have the level 1 workers, the outside defense workers or whatever, kitchen workers, porters, all that. Well, you have, level 3s that do the kitchen and all that stuff too. So, but anything like, I don't know, that the prison needs that's, to be outside anywhere, they'll use the level 1.
Gotcha.
Anything beyond that, you can even go outside the gate and work in prison industries at level 2.
You'll see them outside. They're walking across the street to get to the building. That's always been a trip.
Yeah.
Never been on one of those yards, but I've driven by them many times, and it's always odd to see these people just sort of walking around. So he's going to be locked down 24 hours a day while he's in this, right? He's going to get a shot at going out for rec 1 hour a day. And then they're going to be nothing at all. So how does it work?
No, they'll keep him locked in for probably a couple weeks, couple weeks. you know, because they'll take them right to the hole or right to the segregation unit,
Right.
and then they'll classify them from there because they can't
Okay.
take the risk of just popping him on the yard and letting everybody go at him while they process paperwork. That ain't going to happen.
Okay.
So they keep him isolated. He won't
Yeah,
get a visit. He won't get a visit for probably 30, 45 days. But he has to get to his destination before anybody can even file visiting. And they
Right.
all have to be checked.
Yep.
They,
And
they,
that's every yard, right? So
Yep.
if you're on one yard and you get your your people get approved to come and visit and you get moved to a new yard, that's a whole new process. You're going to be firing that up all over again.
as long as it's at the same prison, he wouldn't need to do that. So once he gets approved by that prison, whatever yard he'll go to in that prison, he'll be fine. Even if he gets moved, he'll only get moved for safety and if he has a problem. Then they'll take him to the hole and then ship him to another yard. They'll wash their hands of it. Simple as that.
So when I did the fish tank program, and I've done it a couple of different places, normally we spent about 24 hours a day locked down in the cell. And then what they would do is they would pull you out in groups of 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, and take you down to medical or take you down to psych. So for the first 3 or 4 weeks, you're actually doing something, you know, throughout the day. You're getting measured for what your clothing sizes are going to be and all of that. I think that's going to be an interesting thing for him. He has been really isolated. You know, this guy hasn't been sitting on a bench with 4 or 5 guys that are going to smart off to him.
And you got to think, prison overcrowding, you know, they might put him in with a killer.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
And once anything pops off in that cell, they're going to have to move him. They're not going to, oh, it's Danny Masterson, we're going to, you know, treat him special. No, look at the Menendez brothers. Look at all that. I mean, they're getting beat up every day still. No,
I mean, once you're, and I think that people lose sight of this because you hear all the time, they say, well, so-and-so's in there and you don't hear about this. Let me tell you something. My cellmate from Victorville died. And the amount of work I had to put in to find out that this dude was dead, like they don't jump through hoops to try to tell you that someone got in a fist fight. It's not.
No.
It's just
there's no TMZ in there.
Not at all. Yep.
They don't.
At all.
It's just another day at the office.
So when you're in the county jail and you're waiting to catch the train to Wasco or wherever else you're going for your for your intake, they just wait until the numbers are big enough. Is it a 2-week process, a 3-week process, or what's the normal train?
It could be anything, you know, could be spur of the moment. They don't like making trips. I mean, because you pointed out, if it's in Wasco, Mule Creek or whatever, Chuckawalla, those are all in Bakersfield. They're not going to want to keep going back and forth. So they're going to get, 20, 30 guys all propped up, ready to go.
And they usually have a Cyrus the Virus cage in there for the person they want to protect anyway. They got that little.
They got that little
over in the back.
Yeah, that little gated, potty room or whatever, and they'll keep him in there. But who's to say? I know guys can get out of cuffs and black boxes. I saw a couple of.
No question. I've seen some bizarre things happen. I watched a guy that managed to make them believe that he was a lot bigger than he was, and managed to slip those belly chains and was using them as and people, once you're inside a transportation bus, there's a guy in the back with a shotgun, and there's a guy in the front that's like a third person, but they're going to pull this thing over on the side of the road. It's going to be a very long process before anybody's getting any kind of assistance. They will not stop. They're not particularly concerned. No, they're not going to stop. They're not concerned. They will shoot you and then out of each other.
Yep. Getting off the bus. Really, I mean, they'll hand you a trash can lid and a shank and let you out in the yard. Gladiator school.
Handle it. So your gut says that there's a chance they're going to leave him. They're going to leave him down south.
Well, I mean, that's more north than anything from where he's at.
Okay. But not move him far away from where he is. He's going to be near the Bakersfield.
It just depends on how much he cries or gets hurt, or I don't think it's going to matter at all if he cries. This isn't, like I said, this isn't a glory game. They're not going to, oh, you're Danny, let me get a picture with you. No, it ain't going to be that. No, he's just going to be another number. And that's what's going to happen. So it's hard to say, but if they're taking him there, you got to think there's a bunch of other prisons that are around there that aren't too far away. There's level 3s, like I said, and there's level 3, 4s. There's well, from what I remember, there was one level 1 yard out there, a level 2 yard. And then I know that the level 3 is there because I was there. But
Okay.
Wasco, that's more of a reception center, or it can be. So you just have to think, it's kind of logic. They're not going to want to spend any more money on an inmate than they have to.
Amen. 32
So
grand a year.
They don't want to spend the gas to ship you out, and they're not going to drive you out in a private car or van.
Yep.
You're hit.
It's going to be very interesting to see how that classification process goes, because there's just the crimes are so heinous, and then there's the addition of the gun, but there's no criminal history. The education thing is going to be odd because he had a very sort of unusual educational upbringing. I did want to bring up today while I had you on here, though, because I was speaking about this with Aaron earlier with Aaron, and I think this takes a kind of a unique convict perspective on this, because Bijou has filed for divorce, and there is a great deal of speculation, and I think most of it probably pretty logical, that this is a money play to protect their assets, and I'm sure that that's the truth. I really am. But from a convict standpoint, the kind of damage that's going to do to the guy's psyche as he's starting off this, even if she's saying to him, honey, the lawyers are saying that this is just about this. I was trying to really make them understand that there's a lot of rights now that are gone, right? They treat your wife different. You can get your wife on the phone in times when you can't talk to other people. Your wife has the opportunity to call down there and ask questions that other people can't ask, right? As to your well-being. They won't say, he got in a fight over this and he got stabbed this time, but they will say to the wife, yeah, there was an incident. Your husband is okay. Currently he's in medical care. Without that, there's nothing. I mean, she loses all that. I think that this is going to be a very tough thing on Danny Masterson's mind. What do you think?
Yeah, he's got some tough times coming, because when I did my issues, and I did 4 of them actually, and I always went in, you cut them loose, because you can't do your time and their time. All right, you just can't. It just physically will wear you out, and it'll tear you up, because all you're thinking about until you're overcome with nothing but thoughts of family. Yeah. Or my wife, or what's she doing? What's this going on? Did they leave me? All that rides out there. The only person you could trust is your mother. That's what I was told. Yeah. And that's what I went by. If I went to jail when I was with somebody, I had to cut them loose. Because
you would hear those poor people. Yeah. How many times have you been in a phone room? Most phone rooms have about 6 banks of phones in them, right? Mm-hmm. And you'd hear a guy in there slamming the phone down on the receiver, calling his significant other everything you could possibly imagine. And you're watching them literally destroy themselves. The old convicts have an expression that you got to do your time on the inside. And if you start to spend all of your time on the outside of the facility and wondering who your wife is having lunch with at the moment, or who she's talking to, or who's being kind to her now that you're gone, it will literally drive you crazy. And this is the start of his life. This is a guy that went from Hollywood parties. Every time he hears that there's a gala somewhere, he's going to be thinking, I wonder if my wife is going to that. I wonder who she's going with.
I wonder if Ashton is going to write me a letter and tell me what she's doing.
Right. That's an interesting. That whole thing is playing out and getting worse every single day for Ashton and Mila Kunis. I think that was tone deaf from the word go. It was a really stupid letter. I think, and I struggle with this because of what the particular crime is. So I try to put myself into the mindset of a homeboy, and if I had a friend who was going away for 6 bank robberies, or if I had a friend that was going away for something that I knew he was guilty of, I could see writing a letter, and I've written letters for people before, but it's never been this kind of crime. I think it would be a very difficult thing, and if you did it, it would have to be one of those situations where you say, you know what, I think he did this, and there's no excuse for it at all. But boy, maybe leniency for his child, give him light at the end of the tunnel. Like that kind of letter I could see, but to say he was the salt of the earth and that I would trust him with my daughter, I mean, that kind of stuff is so friggin' tone deaf. It was incredible. Make you sick.
If he's any kind of man when he comes out, if he comes out ever, I mean, he's going to look back on that and go, man, you know, people are going to just giving a letter like that was just very wrong. And even Ashton seemed like he admitted it when he said, we didn't intend for anybody to read that letter, but the judge, you know,
right.
Where'd that come from? You know, that means you feel guilty.
No, you nailed that. It's a great point.
We got caught, you know. We only meant it for the judge.
We wrote this just for the judge. We weren't intending, you know, CNN and the rest of them to put it on. And
the trials I've been in, right? The trials I've been in, I've never seen of or heard of a letter making any kind of impact with the judge.
No.
So you got to think, you know, oh well,
right?
Crumple it up, throw it away.
It really kind of makes you wonder if he was blackmailed into doing it because it's just so tone deaf.
Yeah, I think so.
And if you just happen to stumble across the lifeboat, Ashton and Mila Kunis were very close friends. They knew the Jane Does. These were not people that are, you know, just names or people that they're not aware of. They knew these people. They were friends with these people. So it makes it that much more tone deaf. And I think that this is one of those rare occurrences. I'm not a big fan of canceling people for any reason. You know, people make mistakes, but they're certainly paying for this. It's pretty ugly.
Right.
It definitely is pretty ugly.
Danny, I mean, I think somebody influenced him, Ashton, for Danny, because I mean, that just wasn't right at all. Any of the letters, I can understand his mom and his family and all that stuff. Please don't, you know, they sentence him to death, you know, pretty much. If he does everything right, he has a chance of getting out of there with maybe some of his teeth left. I don't know.
And maybe a little bit of life. I mean, you know, if he were to be able to fly under the radar, not lose any good time, you know, he could be out in his 70s. I don't think that's particularly realistic. I know that a couple of you have said something about my microphone. The rest of you are giving me 5x5. I do have these little things that go up and down, and it is showing the microphone is working. So I apologize, people, if it's not coming through. I don't know what I could do at this side. Interestingly, hold on, where is he? Alan Valentine says, at the Masterson trial, the Jane Does said they did not wish him any harm in prison. I know that at least one of them said that in their testimonial. It's the truth. One said, you know, people make jokes. I do not want what happened to us to happen to him. I see what I want, she said, was for him to realize what he's done.
Right.
And I don't know. Yeah, that's a tall order for that cat.
Right. That's my hat is off to him, you know, for standing up for what they did and what they want. That's good. But there's the other side of justice, because people everywhere, especially in prisons, do not condone that. They don't care. If it was a child, they're dead. Period. Yeah. There's no discussion. Now, doing what he did, he's still going to pay a price, one way or the other.
Yeah.
Out of pocket or out of ass, it don't matter.
Yeah. Or both.
Probably
for real.
Both.
I mean, there's very often they'll work the person until there's nothing left to work. It is going to be very interesting. I think that this has caught the country. There's a fascination in this. We're seeing this in parts of of mainstream media that we just simply have never seen it before, and that's fascinating to me. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there is this unbelievable cult involved. I know that people don't like the C word, but it's exactly what it is. You know, organizations that try to separate you from your families usually are cults. That's
the worst thing ever, right there. I mean, trying to pit family against family over a belief that all they want is money. They want control over you and they want money. That's it. So Danny being out of the picture now, divorced, they have access to the money because Bijou is still in. So, put two and two together. You can see the unavoidable right there.
This is a great question. If you don't have any tattoos going into jail, will you come out with some? It happens for a couple of reasons. Number one, you have a lot of time on your hands and you're very bored. And there are a lot of people in there who are doing tattoos. A lot of them are very good at it. Then on top of that, I'm not going to lie to you. One of the first ways to spot somebody that will really make you nervous in prison is to find a guy that doesn't have any tattoos.
Right.
The guy without any ink on his body whatsoever is usually someone you might want to worry about because they don't blend in very well and they seem to not be part of the cohesive unit. I certainly came out with some. He certainly came out with some.
Yeah, I came out with all kinds. There's guys in there that
it certainly happens.
Yeah, I know a guy who, well, I don't know if he was a guy or real. I didn't talk to him much, but he had a leg tattooed right here on his bicep and a leg tattooed right there, a female leg. So every time he picked up his arm, you could imagine.
Lovely. I have seen some very, very creative tattoos in prison. There was a period of time when I was in that I was writing down the tattoos that kind of blew me away the most. Because some of them were just, I've told the story before, but there was a kid that had clown face and the smile went all the way up to his ears and he had the lines that went down. I mean, it was the whole shooting match and we were in the shoe together and he was in a cell across from me. We were talking through the glass and some of it with hand signs and some of it, but I just said, how much time did you get, kid? That sucks. And he was like 3.5 years.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, you did this for 3.5. I'm like, what are you going to do when you get out? Like,
right.
Because nothing says come date my daughter or I would like you to work at my store, like a full clown face tattoo. One of my favorites was to go up and say to people, could you walk me through the day? This was a good idea.
Right.
You see these people that have, stuff written on their neck where you go, oh my God, you were doing the Wheaties and you thought today I'm going to put, F the police this big on my neck. There was a guy on the weight pile in Tucson that had at the FCI, and he had the only officer of the law that is a good one is one that is no longer alive. Right.
Right.
The only good cop is there. And they lost their mind. Like he took his shirt off on the pile and went over to start lifting weights, and they just descended. It was I never seen anything like it. The cops came down and just said, you know what? You want to stay on this yard? You will be pumping iron with that shirt on. Like that shirt doesn't come off again while you're there. And he towed the line. Normally they would file for that. They'd start screaming about freedom of speech. Wages World. Good to see you, brother. Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure to see Mark.
Yeah, I've seen a guy with well, actually not seen a guy. I knew him. He was my uncle, but he had a swastika right here under his chest, and he had a noose hanging from that, and he had a cop's badge in it from where he had, wasn't good.
That definitely will make friends. I in the time that I was there towards the end of my time in prison, tattoos were changing. It used to be, and Russ will tell you this, it used to be you could walk up to a cat who didn't have his shirt on and you could read him like hieroglyphics. Like I can look at that person and I can tell you where they did their time, how much time they did, like how many years they were down, what work they put in while they were there, like if they had to put work in, and every bit of that would be covered all over their body. And in recent years, that's changed. It's really, you're not seeing a lot of that outside of the gangs. Like if you're gang banging, then you're going to have a lot of that ink. But it used to be if you put joy in, you were getting it, whether you like it or not. And I actually went through that. I remember them coming to me and saying, "Hey, you can get lightning bolts." And I went, "Oh yeah,
you have to earn them."
You're looking out, but I'm going to pass. And it was like everyone in the room kind of looked like, "What do you mean you're going to pass?" And I had to say,
that was
family heritage that just wouldn't allow this, man. And if I gotta,
there's
beat up,
no.
my Mama Scoville come back with a Swazi or something? Oh Lord, I'm not afraid of prison. I'm afraid of my mother.
Right.
She's a little Italian woman. She'd kill me. I'm not afraid of the convicts. But, oh man.
Yeah.
What do you? I'm honestly. This is something that I'm not trying to be morbid in this. I'm not. I'm not doing a. I don't want an attack pool or a dead pool or anything like that. I'm not. I don't want this dude to end up dead. I really don't. But I don't think we're going to see 90 days before this person ends up attacked. I think that there's going to be somebody that's going to want to be number one, the first person that gets off on him. And I think that we're going to be seeing that within the first 90 days. That's kind of my prediction.
That's something we'll never hear about unless he doesn't make it.
Unless it gets leaked from the inside. And we do have a couple of sources on the inside, so there's a chance that could get leaked out. The other thing that I think we'll see is that his family's going to do a ton of crying. I think that if he gets tuned up the first time that happens, the Masterson'S and all parties are going to be screaming about how this.
Reform the system. This
innocent person who was put in with animals, and
you can't do that to him. He was special. Yeah, tell that to his victims.
Oh, he'll be special by the end of the week. I promise you that. I mean,
I think it would be cool if somebody tattooed the victims' names on his back.
I dig that as a concept, and maybe do it kind of like in Crayon. I love what you were doing, Tommy. I volunteered for Women's Max Sec prison here in Nashville for 2.5 years, doing prison ministry and mentoring rather. It has changed my life. I have learned so much, too much to type. Well, Allie, that is about as cool as it gets. Honest to God, thank you so much for the super chat. And you know what? That's a story that I would love to hear. So shoot me an email at sober@myyahoo.com. sober@myyahoo.com, because that's a great story. That's the kind of thing that we'd love to get on here. I do want to be doing a lot more stories, people. There are going to be some changes. I am going to be surrounding myself with people that are far more intelligent than me. The problem on the boat is that there's been some very intelligent people sitting in the chairs, but we have not been trying to really push it. And certainly, if I'm the smartest man on the boat, we have a problem. So we've got. I've been talking to some people who have some training, who can absolutely come in here and be here while I'm doing what I'm doing and help people in a more professional manner, in a more professional setting. And that's something that I'm really, really excited about. Question, says Kelly C. Will we find out where he'll be sent after intake? I'm hoping wherever it is, you'll have sources on the inside. Kelly C, we will find out where he is sent.
Yes, eventually we will.
Absolutely. Because the computer system is pretty good. If you have a guy's reg, what do you guys call them in California? You call them back numbers or reg numbers?
Well, they're just a prison number. It depends on where it's at. Yeah, it started with the A's, and I have an E number. A numbers like back in the 40s. Right. I had an E number, and so they're probably up in some other kind of stratosphere now. Way out there. Yeah. They're double letter, I think. At one point, they went double letter.
It's incredible the amount of people that are incarcerated in California. It really is. It's staggering. And they're doing everything they can to let them out. They're keeping guys in county jails instead of sending them to prisons.
There's guys in that LA County jail that have been there for probably 6 months, 7 months waiting.
Absolutely. That's not at all uncommon these days. Nancy Clark asks, can the Masterson family pay someone outside for protection for Danny inside? You want my gut on that? My gut, and I'll ask Russ as well. My gut on that is that they probably have already paid somebody to take care of him on the inside. Whether or not that will if that person even knows anyone on the inside or anything else, I'm sure that they've already been scammed, because that happens a lot with people with money. It's a possibility, but you're going to buck the system really hard. If you go in there and you're going to be like, I'm going to be taking care of that freak, because inside you have to understand that's how he's viewed. He's a freak. He's not a human. He's got nothing coming, right? So if you're saying to people, I want to take care of this dude, someone's paying me $5,000, everyone in there is going to say, well, I'm going to need a chunk of that because I'd like that dude dead, right?
He's gonna have to make that connection first when he gets to the yard where he's at, then it'll start working its magic out to the, well, you know what? Hey, Danny, if you come sit over here, man, I'll make sure nobody messes with you, dog. And then, you know, you'll see a couple other solid woods or supposed wherever he goes. And then it'll start from there. And that's where it snowballs.
I'm going to be needing some money for this protection.
Yep.
They'll
be buying commissary.
Keeps going up. Yep. That money keeps going up, and that money keeps going up. And the number of people who are getting paid continues to go up, because there's always one more wood that's going to come up and say to him, hey, what are you talking about? Everybody here's getting $175 a commissary a month, and I'm not. I want on that list too. I've watched it get out of control. I've watched people get bled dry and then kicked to the curb.
Yeah. And that's what's going to happen. I can almost guarantee it. He'll be living a very lonely life in a single cell somewhere on a sensitive needs yard, still worried about his safety.
Deborah Hamilton says, Daily Mail has photos of Bijou without her ring and smiling widely. And if you want to check really closely, she's also getting ready to give a kiss to Danny's half-brother. And you can judge of that kiss what you'd like. I spent a decent amount of time looking at it. And if it were my brother kissing my wife that way,
it'd be over.
Johnny and I would be having conversations. I don't think we'd be eating Thanksgiving together. It looked a little more affectionate than one would hope.
Keep it in the family.
Well, you know what? And that, hey, how many times have you seen that happen? You hear that crap. Prison is like Jerry Springer. You hear it all the time. Yeah,
that's why I'm single now.
My brother.
I had to clear out everybody.
Joy. Good to see you up and about, Heather Joy.
Hey, Heather.
She really took a shot, people. If you never saw something,
glad she's better.
Oh my goodness, man. I mean, that was weeks. It was literally weeks. And she sent me the picture. She was like, look how much better I look. And I thought, man.
I got it. I did want to say, Tommy, I miss Alan. He was cool to talk to on your live stream. Hi, Alan.
It's funny. There's been a lot of talk about that in the day that he's been gone. It was great having Alan around. It really was. It was, especially on long road trips. I was bouncing ideas off of Alan and talking to him about the lifeboat. And Alan's been there since day one, and has been just a real confidant through all of it. So it was, it was really fantastic. With the exception of that 3-second period of time where he tumbled off of a cliff and hit his head on a rock, and my heart stopped, literally stopped. Listen, you know what? Mike Rinder is going live, and with the number of people on this channel who watch him, I'm not going to step on his toes. We're gonna let everybody get over there. 180 people over. That's a big swing over there to Mike. You will be seeing more of Russ, my friends. He is firing up and polishing his YouTube channel, at which point we're going to be pushing that as well. So that's coming up in the near future. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, and I will see you on the boat in a little bit. All right? Okay,
see ya.
Tommy, God bless. All right, Russ, well done.
Thank you, sir.